Thanks for tuning in to the Nindie Nation podcast, a weekly show dedicated to games for the Nintendo Switch, brought to you by independent developers. I'm Jeff, joined by Josh.
What's up, Jeff?
Hey, Josh. We're here to walk you through the growing catalog of fantastic indie titles, from the games and developers you already know and love, to the hidden gems inside Nintendo's digital gaming paradise. We'll discuss what we're playing, what we think you should be playing, and in our second half, give you the full rundown of this week's Nindie sales and next week's new releases. Whew, that one took a couple of tries this week.
That's a mouthful right there.
Yeah,
I don't know
Nindie.
how you do it.
Yeah, Nindie is a little bit of a tongue twister. Nindie Nation?
That's why I thought of the name, of course, just to rope you up.
Now,
it always gets me.
Sometimes when I eat spicy food, my stomach gets upset and I get Nindie Nation. Is that what you take Tums for?
Nindie Nation, yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We got a lot of stuff to go through this week and a ton of stuff to talk about that's on sale and coming up next week. We got a good month or so ahead of us on the eShop. But Josh, why don't you run through what you've been playing this week?
Okay. Well, before I get to what I've been playing, I got this nice tattoo, BioShock themed. I know it's not Nindie. Hey, maybe Kevin Levine can come back and put this on the Switch. He was going to put it on the Vita, so
yeah, he
why,
sure
why
was.
Why can't it come on the Switch?
Maybe that's why the Vita failed, because it didn't get BioShock.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of my favorite gaming franchises, so I got my BioShock themed tattoo ready to game. But yes, I'm going to start off with an infamous title. It's called Hello Neighbor.
Hello Neighbor.
Hello. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, everything you expect to hear from this title, it's probably true. I think today when I was playing, I put a box down because I was trying to climb up into a window, and then my character just randomly flew into the air, when I jumped on the box.
It's like just a physics playground, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much. So the basic premise of the game is that you're this boy, and you stumble across this house and you hear screaming coming from a basement area. And there's this creepy guy living in the house. He has these gloves on for some reason. And your goal is to try to get into the basement and discover what's going on. And it just drops you in front of the house, and it's your mission just to find a way, whatever way you can, whether it's climbing up a scaffold or going in the front door or going through an open window, breaking a window. I mean, it's sort of like a playground in that aspect.
So can you, now if the neighbor catches you, is it insta-death, or can you run away, or can you kill him, or?
Pretty much, if you're outside and he tries to catch you, you can run away. But if you're inside the house, it's almost impossible. You can hide underneath the bed. You can hide in closets. But
does he pull you out from under the bed, or is it just like a kill screen?
No, it pretty much, if you find somewhere to hide, you're safe. But if you're just out in the open, he will find you and he will capture you. And you get a set amount of lives. But then once those are all exhausted, this game over scenario runs, and then you have to start all the way over from the beginning again. So
yeah, I've never played the game, but I remember whenever it came out a year or so ago. It feels like it's been some time since it came out on PC.
Yeah, it's and its notoriety mainly came from its glitching and just that wasn't that much fun to play, unfair, and really none of those issues have been resolved. Like I said, as far as flying into the air or it seems like certain doors won't even open sometimes when they should. I've been stuck and I've had to reset because it seems because I've looked at some guides online and certain things wouldn't trigger. So it looks like on the Switch, all the lumps came along with it. And for $40 title, that's sort of ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah, it's $40.
$40?
Yeah.
Yeesh, that's a lot to ask.
So,
I mean, so let's say that you're good at the game, you're competent at it. You've made it to the basement before. How long of I mean, I know it's all about the journey, but if you can actually do it and you know what you're doing, like how long of a game are we talking?
Yeah, it's not very long actually. It's because it's broken down into 4 chapters,
Okay.
and like the first part's actually getting into the basement, and then you're in the basement, and then there's another one where you're further down, and it goes
Okay.
into some
Okay.
weird places. If you want to play it, I won't spoil anything, but yeah, it's
Fair enough.
like I said, it's just too glitchy to really recommend, and for that price, yeah.
And
Like,
for that
it's
reason,
funny.
I'm out.
It's funny though. My kids are fascinated by it because I wouldn't let my son usually play it, but he could grab my Switch. He was going to play Fortnite on it, and for some reason he chose this game, which I probably should lock my Switch from certain games. But yeah, he started playing and he was just fascinated with it. And then they were both like, "I can't believe this guy's coming after us." And they're like, "Dad, did you get to this part?" And they were just more like fully engaged in this game than I could ever be, just from all the glitches and stuff. So it has that weird dichotomy.
Yeah, the game definitely plays off of, I think, of The Sandlot. You've got the scary neighbor next door. Like, it plays off of some of those
Yeah.
things you think about or pretend or know or whatever when you're a kid. So maybe that's it. Now they're all going to be waking up in the middle of the night because they've got nightmares about your neighbor.
Neighbors, yeah, they're gonna be peeking out the windows. And is
Mm-hmm.
there a body in there? Great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
if you want to see more about this game, it sounds like Josh says it's not much different on the Switch. There are, I mean, all the big streamers have covered. Like PewDiePie has a good series of videos from Hello Neighbor. I'm forgetting who the other couple were that I saw that were
No, I'm
really
sure
funny.
you can find some really good ones
Yeah,
on
it's good to
there.
see. Yeah, it's easy to dig into that game. What else have you been playing?
I've been playing the game called Element, and it
Hmm.
doesn't look interesting if you just look at screenshots because it's very minimalistic in art style, but it's a really, really deep art real-time strategy actually
Ooh.
because what your goal is to you go to different planets and your goal is to take as many minerals as you can from the enemy that has an ever-growing force too, and you plant like different facilities and structures to gather these minerals, and then you can launch missiles or you can launch defensive positions or satellites. You can fire off these attack satellites, and there's lots of systems in play. Like, you want to fire missiles from the resources you gather to hold the enemy at bay, but you also have to defend your own units from not being destroyed. And yeah, it's really clever how they did it. You can play with touch controls or just use the Joy Cons. Yeah, I'm
Do
really
you know if
digging it.
this is a port from another, or if it is from
I think
Flightless? Is
this
the
is I think this is like a totally unique game for the Switch.
huh?
So I've never seen it on anything else. So
Yeah, and this is the only game that they have published, at least on the eShop.
yeah, but I'm really enjoying it so far. It fits that real time strategy mold, but it's really easy to get into, and it's not too hard to understand. You have different levels of resources you can use. Like, if you spend 10, you can build like a smaller fort, or if you use like 30, it'll be more build up, or you'll take off more land or build better satellites. So there's a
Yeah,
lot of
this looks
systems
cool.
in play. Yeah,
I
yeah,
dig the graphic style.
yeah.
Very
Like
like
I said, it's
hard
minimalistic.
polygonal kind of. Yeah.
It controls like a dream too. It's like 60 frames per second, and like you can rotate all around the planet, zoom in and out, and
Hmm.
yeah, it's pretty detailed for what it is. So
Have you played it on your TV?
I haven't. I've just played
Yeah.
in handheld, but I'm sure it would look pretty great.
Yeah, I'm looking at the screenshots. That just seems like, yeah, this looks perfect for handheld, but it also looks like it'd be fun to blow it up on the TV and see what it looks like. This looks really neat. I had no idea that this was even a
See,
thing.
we don't talk about this type of stuff before the show, so yep. Even I can even enlighten Jeff on some of these awesome. Is this the game you're going to buy on today's show, Jeff?
Yeah, maybe we'll see. We'll see.
The next game I've been playing, it's called Guts and Glory.
Mm-hmm.
And this is about as far a departure from Element as you can go. It's pretty much a jackass version of a video game. Like, the scenarios are so outlandish. Like, your characters that you control will just blow up, or they can have their limbs chopped off. And it's just like in these suburban areas, like you get these characters called Jack and Jill that ride on a bike, and you can run over landmines, or like I said, there's swinging saws. There's people trying to shoot arrows at you, and you have to perform all these specific tasks, like go through this amount of checkpoints, or launch somebody through a ring, or something like that. It's
at its core, it's a racing game. Is that what it is?
That's
what it says in the description.
It's hard to fail in, actually, because sometimes you have time limits, but other time it's more you get medaled based on your time, so you can take forever in a match, and the environments are pretty wide open, like you can go where you want, but it wants you to follow like a set objective. So
okay.
Yeah, I mean it's if you want some goofy fun, it's pretty. There's some things that are broken, like sometimes you'll just start off and you'll immediately just be like a rag doll and immediately fail.
Yeah, this is interesting. This the publisher, Tiny Build, they've been putting out a bunch of games, and I gotta say, the thing that most of these games, either what I think of or what I've been told, either falls into the category of it's something goofy with physics that is what makes it fun, because they also do Hello Neighbor, Cluster
Truck, yeah.
Yep. Guts and Glory, or I hear they are good games that like just kind of missed the mark. Like I remember Mr. Shifty. I remember when that came out and everybody said it was, it's Hotline Miami with Nightcrawler, but then I heard a lot of people say, but it's just not as good as Hotline Miami and Garage. Yeah. I remember, I think we talked about that on our first episode. You were like, It's cool, but it kind of misses the mark a little bit.
Nothing will match up with Hotline Miami. Still needs to come to the Switch.
Yeah, that's weird. I wonder if they're waiting for, just like we saw with Banner Saga, where
number 3,
number 3 just comes out, and they in the last 2 or 3 months released the other 2, so those were clearly in development and just about ready to go.
That's true.
Cool.
I want to hit on Pixel Lines. 500. I gotta read this off. 500 more puzzles. EX. Yeah, it's just 500 DX. Pixel Lines DX, 500 more puzzles. I've been having more fun. It's like a P-Cross game in that same type of build.
And Pixel is spelled Piczle.
Yes. So if you tried to spell it by its correct enunciation, you'll probably never find it.
Right.
But it's a lot of fun because it's like a snake game where you have to connect between 2 5s and like 2 6s, and you got to make sure that you do it right so that lines aren't intersecting, and if they are, you have to go back and see where the problem is. And it's a fun puzzler. I've actually been putting in more time with this than about anything else right now.
This looks kind of neat.
It's
Have
sort
you
of
tried
addictive.
Any of the co-op stuff or anything like that?
I haven't. I need to try that at some point, but as for now, like I said, I'm just going through, and it has different themes based on the puzzle. Like it has like backgrounds, or you can do like sports events and different themes for the pictures that you want to draw, and they get pretty complex, like on grids that are.
So you're having to like figure out which one to do in what order. Is that kind of like the main?
Yeah, like usually.
What's the main thing you're figuring out here?
So it's like P-Cross, you're making a picture out of like this grid base. Mm-hmm. So instead of in P-Cross where you have to see the numbers on the side and that's where you mark them to make the picture, in this one you have to just draw lines from the 2 areas. Like I said, like 2 5s. You can't go 5 and then draw it to a 4. They have to the numbers have to match. And yeah, like at the end, they're all different colors, so that fills in an actual picture of what you're trying to accomplish. And
that's really cool.
Yeah, it caught me off guard. I was like, I'll give it a try, And it's scratching that puzzle itch.
And that one, let me check. I just closed it, but that one was fairly cheap. Yeah, it's $10.
Yeah, it's fairly cheap too. So
yeah, $10 for a good puzzle game. I mean, that's you can't beat that.
And yeah, you'll spend hours on it easily. And then finally, I'll hit on this. I haven't played too much of it, but it's called Pool Panic.
Oh
It's an
man.
adults. It look well. I'm not sure if it's an Adult Swim
Yeah.
game. It
Yeah,
is.
it is. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it definitely has that art style though. But yeah, it's a crazy concept to say the least. Because the stages, you're on a pool table and you control the main marker ball, the white ball. And then you push a button and then you have the stick and then you have to pull back and then you push a button again and it fires off. And then the different balls that you're trying to hit into the holes, they have different characteristics. So some will run away when you're about to fire, others will try to run into you, and then others can explode and just cause mass destruction all over the place. And
Is the I've
it's
seen
pretty
the art
funny.
style. Is it like the impacts or the violence or whatever it is that happens? Is it like slapsticky or does it get like
Oh,
kind of Adult Swim gross?
it's definitely slapsticky. It's
Okay.
like the cartoon type of violence. That's not.
Yeah, I was wondering like when the balls smash into each other, does like one of them pick up a pitchfork and like impale the
And
other
then
one and
you
like
see blood go everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, and like I'm not saying that in like a negative way. I'm saying like that's what like half of Adult Swim
Yeah,
is.
like
So
a game that you don't want your kid to play. Yeah, no,
pretty
it's.
much, yeah, that's
But
where I
yeah,
was
it's.
going.
I'd be fine with Eli playing this. It's just a lot of fun, but it's a different concept, and I haven't put enough time to really give a judgment on it. I've been having fun with it, but it's pretty hard actually. You can complete the stages, but like I said, it's the scoring's based on how many strokes it takes to get all the balls in, and you have to learn how to hit
Sure.
certain ones to get to others, and yeah,
So it seems like it's kind of a simpler game to kind of figure out,
yeah,
especially if
it's
you.
it's sort of like a puzzler in that sense, like finding out ways to hit certain balls. So
Sure, sure.
rack your balls up and stuff. Oh, okay.
That is
I've
that
gone
is
too
cool.
far. Yeah.
You've done a lot of gaming, which is good because I've been a little bit light on the game time this past week, or rather, the game time that I've been playing. I've been spending a lot of time with Octopath, and we don't
Oh
want to
yes, yeah.
we
We
don't want
all
to dive.
have.
Yeah, we don't want to dive too much into that. But I mean, come on, guys. If you want an RPG, a JRPG, this is the best option you got right now on
Quality.
the Switch.
Where does it rank on the? What's your favorite? What's that? Your favorite that you always go back to?
My favorite Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger. Yeah. Where does it rank on the
You
Chrono
know,
Trigger
I hear
scale?
that, and I hear the comparisons to Final Fantasy 6 or 3 in the U.S. I don't I don't know that years from now I'm gonna look back on Octopath Traveler as like a phenomenal game that I need to replay. Like I think of the other Square games, like The World Ends with You coming out soon on the Switch.
Oh yeah.
That game is like genre defining, or like when I think of the DS, I think of The World Ends with You. With a lot of that kind of older stuff, Super Nintendo, I think of Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger. So I don't know that it gets into that. But again, I'm 25 hours into a 65-hour game or whatever, so it certainly could. But the music's fantastic,
Oh.
the visual style's unparalleled.
Presentation wise, it's perfect. I think.
Yeah. The quality of life stuff is great. I do think the balance of managing your inventory at times can get a little. I'm in one of those positions now where I've got a bunch of random crap that I can sell, but there's a lot of things that are barely worth anything. And so like I could sell all those and make a little bit of money, but the
It's almost
JRPG
not worth
player,
it.
yeah, and the JRPG player in me is like, well, if it's worthless, is it going to be like Excalibur by the end of the game? Like if I have this item later down the road, so I don't know.
I was also I'll also say the story for me didn't hit them. I think that was the biggest letdown for me personally so far. Like I don't like how it just you have the 8 individual stories, but it doesn't really build upon that like some grand narrative. I'm feeling like they're missing the mark in that regard.
And I've heard that there is a big piece of post-game content that does do a lot of that. Because I've seen articles where certain outlets that kind of reamed on that same point are kind of getting taken to task right now because it seems that there is actually something at the end, but that it's very difficult.
Oh.
Yeah, like post credits. So there might be something there, and it might be worthwhile. I will say this dev's past two games, Bravely Default and Bravely, what is it? Bravely Second End Layer. Those games were amazing. I played both of those. I really loved them. Did you play either of those, Josh? Did you?
No, if they ever come to Switch, I will.
Yeah, I don't know if they will or not. They might. That's not a bad idea. But I mean, it's the exact same game. That whole notion of like spending extra turns or holding on to them, that is called braving and defaulting.
Oh,
That's what it was. Yeah, like you hit R to brave and L to default, and that's where that game got its name, is from that piece of the. So that game, I mean, it's Bravely Default, but 8 different characters and stories. Otherwise, it's almost the same premise. But anyways, we're talking too much about a non-Nindie.
No.
And the way I wanted to spin this to get some time out of the fact that I've been playing that game so much is I thought it would be cool to. You just kind of mentioned where my roots in JRPGs are. What about yours? What is your exposure experience with JRPGs?
Well, you got to go way back to Final Fantasy VII. That's where it broke through for me. Like, I was never very into them into the Genesis or Super Nintendo, but PlayStation 1, that's where it just came undone with Xenogears and stuff like that. Breath of Fire. Legend of Dragoon, things like that. I just remember spending so many hours. Just my parents would get so mad.
Yeah.
How much time I would spend and then sneak and try to play some more. And yeah, I've slowly, because they take so long. I haven't played as many, like Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. I love that one.
Oh yeah, fantastic game.
The Persona games are always great. I've never completed one, but I've always enjoyed my time playing through them.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Now, have you ever gone back to some of the Super Nintendo or 16? Like, have you ever gone back and played Final Fantasy 6 or Chrono Trigger?
This is a major blight on my record of video gaming, but I've never completed Chrono Trigger or got really close to it. But as you said, it's like one of those games that just keeps giving as you go through it, real fast. So it's something that I probably should just sit down with. I think after my third Dark Souls run, this is the game I'll probably get more enveloped in. Good.
Well, look forward to chatting about it. Well, maybe we have to do that off air then, since it's not an indie. So before I go into the couple of games that I've been playing besides Octopath, I wanted to mention that earlier today I had every intention of buying a game that I saw on sale, and I was hoping to play a little bit of it before we recorded tonight, but I couldn't because I'm stuck at a massive boss in Octopath. So I can't quit my game right now, and it's taken like 2 hours so far. But the game is Operation Hardcore. It's by Greenlight Games.
Hardcore.
And I'm gonna read the description of the game because I want you all to know why I bought this game. It's 50% off right now. I think I paid $7 for it, so it must be $14 or $15 normally. So I looked at it. It looks like a side-scrolling game with a little bit of bullet hell in it. The description: an action-packed 2D side-scrolling shooter inspired by classic twitchy action games of yesteryear, but with modern touches and conveniences. Here's the good part. Dateline, Earth, 1999. An unprovoked alien invasion is underway. You, a total badass, don't really appreciate it. You won't stand for it. You're downright outraged. You pack up some essentials, guns, cigars, whiskey, and head out into the night. Little do you know that tonight you will make history. This is Operation Hardcore. Bullet points. Fight your way past enemies using a range of weapons. Double jump your way around obstacles and hazards. Activate your traditional plasma-based shield to deflect enemy fire. Drink some whiskey to slow time and increase damage. Strap on a jetpack and get airborne. Collect coins to purchase items, meet or beat level par times, grab a friend for some co-op, and so on and so forth. But I loved that description, and the pictures make it look like I don't know, like what it says. It's a
It's
side-scrolling
completely
2D.
just bro force, go at it.
Yeah,
Take
I
out
definitely get the Broforce vibe.
Yeah.
Like one of the characters looks like Chuck Norris, stuff like that. But yeah, so I'm going to talk about that game next week. It looks fun. I got suckered into thinking I'd be able to beat that boss and play it. But other than that, the couple of games that I've been playing, I think we both played Super Destronaut DX.
Yes.
And so that game is Space Invaders.
Yeah.
And that's it.
With a tripped out art style.
Yeah, and like after 2 minutes, you don't really see the
You've
art style
seen
anymore.
everything.
Yeah, there is
Pretty
a
much.
challenge. There is a challenge mode, and it's like a series of maybe what, Josh, like 60 challenges, maybe 100,
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
Things that are like
thought it was
shoot
just
this guy
30.
4 times, or beat a level, or beat 2 levels, and it's literally the exact same thing every single time. So
Yeah, and then the easy ones are really easy to get through. Like you just jump from one to one each time.
yeah, it's got that part of those twin stick shooter games that I think Housemarque was always able to avoid, but some of the great twin stick shooters fall into this trap. I think of Geometry Wars, where like the first 2 or 3 minutes of every Geometry Wars level is really boring. Like
Yeah, I
until
can
you've got
see
that,
that, yeah.
until you've got that multiplier going and things are going crazy, it's kind of like, all right, well, I'm not really trying to go for a high score. I'm just trying to not lose any lives so that I can get to the harder part. And it
Yeah.
does that. I feel like this game is a lot like that. If you do lose, you start over and it's like a snooze fest. But it's $5. If you like Space Invaders, you should buy it.
And
If you
shooting
don't like
things.
Space Invaders, you probably shouldn't buy it. But it's $5, and it's a game for $5 that is what it promises. So, the other game that I've played, maybe this is why I haven't played many other games this week, because I'm like sitting here playing these 2 games and Octopath, and I'm like, I'll just keep playing Octopath. But the other game is Galaxy Variant S, which is a free-to-play game.
Free to play.
Yeah, and so this game has been on many platforms and many variations. It's kind of like, it looks kind of like Asteroids, another game similar. You fly around with a jetpack. You've got like thrust and reverse buttons, so you're kind of like playing with the gravity and physics a little bit, shooting at enemies that come at you, collecting their items, getting more stuff to fight the bigger thing, and so forth. But the free-to-play aspect of it, I'm going to post I took a couple of good videos on my Switch that I will post as we share this episode. There are parts of the game that feel like it's a microtransactions trainer.
What do you mean by that?
I will show the videos, but it is seriously, I get like a 10-second loading screen. I play about a minute and a half of the game, and then it is like 3 solid minutes where all I'm doing is pressing A over and over. It's highlighting the right menu options, but all that's happening is it's saying, here's this kind of currency, and it goes into this bucket. Let's look at the different types of things it can impact. Now let's try to redeem some. Now that you've redeemed it, let's try to apply it. Apply it to this one. It's the only thing you can buy. Now equip that item that you just upgraded. By the way, before you leave, here's a free extra amount of that material. And you're just
Until you accidentally click on something. Oh, purchase.
Yeah, so I'll share some of those. But you've played games that were not the free-to-play model of it. So, I mean, was your experience different?
Yeah, because it was just like an actual game. Like, I don't remember any actual gates that had you push A or XXXXX. Because I played on the PS4, so.
Sure.
But yeah, my experience with it, I thought it was a fun, asteroids based shooter, which you get to be these anime mechs, and I thought it was pretty cool. But it's disappointing to hear that went to a free to play model, actually.
Yeah, and I don't think free to play is a bad word. It's
Depends
not
on the
usually
game.
very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say I have no idea how much, but I've put a lot of time into Fire Emblem Heroes, and I still pick it up from time to time on mobile.
Yeah, that game's more built for it, though, I think.
Yeah,
Not like an action-based,
This is definitely a game where they took an existing game and made it free to play and ruined it. Kind of like,
Right.
what's that tower defense? Plants vs. Zombies?
Oh yeah, Plants vs Zombies Garden or Plants
The
vs
2.
Zombies 2. Yeah.
Yeah, that
EA. Thanks, EA.
one. Hashtag thanks EA. That'd be better than the Konami hashtag.
Yeah, definitely.
So, anything else that we need to cover before we check out sales and new releases? Any other big news, Nindie excitement this week? Let's see.
I mean, we're gonna go over it, but I'm excited for Salt and Sanctuary to come out soon.
Yeah.
We finally got a release date for that, so.
Yeah. I do want to touch on this Hori D-pad that launched or is launching, I think, next week.
Yeah.
So, are you familiar with this accessory, Josh? You want to explain it?
I am not.
Okay, I will explain it. So, it is a left Joy-Con that you can buy, and I think it's $30 or $40. It is built by Hori, a good third party that makes good products. It is officially Nintendo licensed, and it gives you an honest-to-goodness D-pad on your left Switch Joy-Con, which is great. I think a lot of us playing Nindie games are probably playing lots of 2D games, puzzle games. I mean, think about the games that we just listed over the last 10 minutes. Almost all of those would be better with a D-pad. And so for those who don't like the buttons of the Joy-Con, there's this option, but there's a big caveat here. The Joy-Con replacement, first of all, it does not come in solid colors. It only comes in Mario aesthetic or Breath of the Wild aesthetic. And they do not sell a right Joy-Con. So you're going to get these real flashy left Joy-Cons that you'll never be able to get a matching right side for. So that's kind of weird.
That's really weird.
In addition, the Joy-Cons do not have vibration in them of any sort. They do not have wireless functionality, so they need to be tethered always and only for handheld mode. They do not have the IR camera or the gyroscope. I think the IR camera is actually in the right Joy-Con, but they don't have any of the fancy features. So you're literally getting a handheld mode D-pad that, if you're playing a game with rumble in it, is going to probably feel kind of weird, feeling it only on one side. So I want to put that caveat out there, because when I see that Nintendo licenses a product to be made by third parties and it's got all these weird caveats on it, like, you know that Hori is saying, we would love to make a solid gray matching left Joy-Con with a D-pad that has all these features, but there's a reason they're not. And I'm hoping that it's because Nintendo's going to make one. That's my thought.
Yeah, because that doesn't sound worth the effort.
Do you really think
honest.
Nintendo's going to have us play all those classic NES games with the Switch? I mean, it's fine, but seems like that would be a good time to release it.
Like, that's a big thing for some people. Some people prefer certain control methods or certain sticks or whatever. That's never, for any system, that's never really been. I've had preferences, but it's never been a problem for me. Like, if you would play, like, classic Mega Man, or Sonic Mania, when I've been playing that, I mean, using the Joy-Cons perfectly fine for me. Like, I understand, like, having the Super Nintendo, like, that 8-bit DOE controller you recommended. It is fantastic, you know. I do like the feel of that D-pad better, but it's not, like, a game breaker, you know?
Sure. Yeah, so, you know, it means different things to different groups. You could fall in the camp like me or like Josh. And but, you know, buyer beware that if you're getting it, you're not just getting the left Joy-Con. You're getting something that comes with a couple of things to consider. But if anybody does get one, let us know how they look in person, how they feel, you know, if you're having any issues with them, or if it's smooth sailing as long as you know what you're getting yourself into. Other than that, Josh, are we going to dive into sales or new releases first?
Could go over new releases first.
Yeah, we got a good week next week. Let's talk about it.
All right. First up, we have Code of Princess EX, and that's by Nicalis. And I've been playing a little bit of this. The review embargo is not up, so I can't really say too much about it. But it's brings unique combination of hack and slash beat 'em up action and role playing depth to the Nintendo Switch. The
That
story
sounds like
follows
an
Princess
eShop
Solange
review.
of Deluxia as she fights to restore order in a world where monsters are trying to overtake the human race. And you are armed with a large sword, and it has the beat 'em up sensibilities, like it said. So I'll probably have a lot to talk about next week for this. So
Josh,
there's
have you
that.
ever played any of the Vanillaware games like Odin Sphere or Dragon's Crown?
Yeah, I love those games.
Does it feel kind of like those?
It feels like those, but it also feels harder to control.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Which, yeah, um, like I said, we'll have a little review next week for that.
That's an itch I've been looking to scratch, so I want to hear what you have to say. Cool.
Yep. Flashback comes out on 7/31. This is from
game.
Microids, and you would know better about this than I would because it's actually a classic reimagined.
Yes. So this game is back to celebrate its 25th anniversary. This is a cinematic 2D puzzle-ish platformer. Think the original Sands of Time, or not Sands of Time, the original Prince of Persia games, Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, all those 2D Oddworld games. Games like that, where it's very cinematic, very controlled movements. It's not pixel precision here. It's, well, I guess it is in some ways. But in general, the game, it's very short. I've played it on the Vita. I played it back in the day on the Super Nintendo and the Genesis. It's a really, I think most people,
It looks
they
like
know.
Prince of. Well, I'm watching the video. It looks like Prince of Persia, but sci-fi.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Is
That's
that
it.
it?
Yeah, that's it. And it's good. It's good. It's got little polygonal FMV sequences in it. Like on the Genesis, it had them. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff that they pulled off back then. If you're a fan of old technology or the retro aesthetic, check it out. It's cool. I would probably wait until it goes on sale. $20 is a lot for that game. I paid like $1.50 for it on Vita during a flash sale, so I would suspect it'll go down in price.
Yep. Next on 7/31 we have Titan Quest. This is from Nordic Games. From Age of Empires co-creator Brian Sullivan and Braveheart writer Randall Wallace comes an innovative action role-playing game set in ancient Greece, Egypt, and Asia. The Titans have escaped their eternal prison, wreaking havoc upon the earth. The gods seek a hero who can turn the tide in an epic struggle that will determine the fate of both men and gods. Are you ready for the quest?
I am ready for the quest, but what kind of quest is it, Josh?
It's pretty much a Diablo clone, from what I can tell.
Yeah, looks like it.
So,
Looks cool. $40.
Yeah.
It's a big ask.
that's a big price for that.
It's a
So
big ask. We'll see about it next week.
yeah. Next we have State of Anarchy, Master of Mayhem. I've been playing this also, and pretty much you're like it has stick figure like aesthetic, like that hand drawn feel, but it's a twin stick shooter bullet hell adventure, and so.
Does it have the RPG building out your characters or getting new permanent abilities or anything like that?
Yes, you do. You get after every boss you defeat, you get like upgrades, faster shots. You can move your character faster, and then, like I said, there's some other elements there, like you get new guns, and it's pretty
Cool.
much like any type, like Smash TV. Like there's just enemies everywhere, and then you go up in space, and there's aliens, and it
That's
gets
a good
pretty off the
analogy.
rails.
It does look like a little bit modernized version of Smash TV. And hey, it's $6.39. If you pre-purchase, it's 20% off. So that's the sale price. Normally $8. So
Yeah.
that looks cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Next, what I was excited about on August 2nd, Sultan Sanctuary. I've beaten this on Vita. Doom Sailor is shipwrecked on an uncharted island. In fog-shrouded valleys, shambling figures begin to stir. Beneath crumbling salt-worn structures, labyrinthine passageways lead to unspeakable evil, long forgotten by man. And it's pretty much Dark Souls in 2D, and I love the game. It's totally worth the $17.99 price point. So
This art style looks amazing.
Yeah, it's by the same. Let's see, Ska Studios, who made the dishwasher game, zombie dishwasher games that came out for the 360.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they have some pedigree there, but yeah, I can totally recommend that. 1979 Revolution Black Friday. This looks like that Aerosmith, like, just from that art style at the front, when you look at it, it looks like the Aerosmith shoot 'em up game that was in the arcades, but it's nothing like that.
Oh no, what was that game called?
I know,
Revolution X.
Yeah. That's what that picture reminds me exactly of that. But
Yeah,
this seems like a deep, very deep, like almost Telltale like a game adventure title. Like you can make choices and stuff. So that's Digerati makes that, or Digerati, however you say that.
BAFTA nominated interactive drama.
Flat Heroes comes out on the 2nd. And
this looks cool.
Yeah, minimalistic in art presentation, but it looks like it has that, multiplayer aspect of beating up your friends.
Yeah, it kind of looks like, and that it might be a similar game to something like N+, like a single screen, single room, like tough as nails platform challenge with some co-op and multiplayer stuff. This is one of those games where I'm going to need someone else to tell me about it. I don't know that I'd dive into this myself, but it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks interesting. Johnny Turbo's Arcade coming through with Shootout. Another classic.
I gotta try some of these Johnny Turbo games. I need someone to tell me which ones I should play.
You have to be in the classic games to play them, because I have bad dudes through them. And it's pretty generic, but it's fun if you're into that nostalgia based.
They have Akari Warriors on that series, don't they? I'm gonna search
that's a
for
good
it.
question.
I think they do. I'm gonna search for it, because if so, that might be my game I buy this week.
That might be. Well, there you go. Crush Your Enemies comes out by Vile Monarch. It's a bite-sized real-time strategy game spiced up with over-the-top barbaric humor. So that has a nice retro style. Iconoclast, which I hit on a few episodes ago of wanting to come to the Switch. It's coming out on the 2nd. Join a Renegade.
Walk me through this game, because I know you were really fond of it earlier.
It's pretty much... So it's a Metroidvania, but what drew me to it was the art style, really. And it seems like there's some interesting gameplay mechanics. It's like she's a mechanic, so she can fix up things and power down certain... I think build certain contraptions to get past certain areas. So
the game looks like Super Metroid, but built...
It's beautiful.
It looks like built in like the Mega Man X color palette. Like it's very colorful. That's cool.
Road to Valhalla. P-Cross S2 comes out on the 2nd. If you played P-Cross, this is pretty much just an expansion based on that. Another great puzzler. Guns, Gore, and Canali 2 comes out on the 2nd, which I didn't even know about. That was a neat little 2D side-scrolling shoot 'em up that had zombies, and
it's a really fun aesthetic. It's like what's that really hard Neo Geo franchise that what is it?
Metal Slug.
Metal Slug. Yeah, it's kind of like a Metal Slug game.
Yeah, it looks more flash-based, like something you find using that engine, but yeah, it plays like a Metal Slug game, and it was really fun. We have Not a Hero. That's come out on a variety of other systems. Professional assassin turned amateur campaign manager Steve is charged with cleaning up the city by an anthropomorphic rabbit and mayoral candidate from the future named Bunny Lord.
Oh, that's helpful.
Now, Steve and his expanded roster of dubious heroes must wield their unique skills to shoot, slide, dive, and take cover behind a political platform built on ethics, accountability, and an inordinate amount of gunfire. So
it's made by the people that made Ollie Ollie.
Yep. Devolver Digital, they've made a ton of great games, like
Devolver
Miami.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I look sort of like Broforce there. Ikimu comes out on the 2nd. That is in the description, in this awesome third-person adventure game, you will help Ikamu rescue his friends from the clutches of the evil Dark Shard. Your quest will take
Not
you
the
deep
Dark
into the Dark
Shard.
Shard's 4 corrupted splinter worlds. So you can check that out if you want. Battle Supremacy. This is an immersive World War II tank game. And the graphics look okay, but I've read this before. It is just a port of a mobile title. So be warned if you go in with that. Cycle 28 also comes out on the 2nd. Power slide your way between bullets and screen-shaking explosions and maybe solve the mystery of Cycle 28 on your Nintendo Switch. I'll talk about this more next week because I've been playing it. And yeah, it's pretty fun. Asteroids is the main theme of the game. And then finally, we have The Inner World and The Inner World, The Last Wind Monk. And these look like your typical point-and-click adventure titles, but pretty unique art style by Head Up Games. Embark on a crazy adventure to a wonderful and mysterious world of Asposia.
Yeah, this looks neat. If you're into the 2D point-and-click games, definitely
Like
should
I
be
said,
up anybody's
I
alley.
was really into the Adventures of Bertram Fiddle. It looks like that's a point-and-clicker adventure too for the Switch, and has the same general art style as that. I thought that was a great harkening back to the Tales of Monkey Island games.
Sure. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's check out
I'm out of breath.
Sales. Yeah,
So many new releases.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I'll give you a second to catch your breath. There's some good sales going on this week. We've got Adventure Pals is $9, which is 40% off.
That was a great game.
And would that be a good one? I'll give you a peek behind the curtain. Josh and I have been talking about trying to do some co-op Nindie Let's Plays. And thinking, knocking a couple of them out and then editing and releasing. Would Adventure Pals be a good one, you think?
Yeah, I think so. I'd love to play that with... I played with my son. It was a lot of fun.
Very cool. Also got Airmail, fairly new game that's on sale for a third off right now. Astro Duel Deluxe and Axiom Verge. Axiom Verge is a big one, 10% off only right now though. That was on sale. I should have bought that. That was on for like half off a while back. I remember.
Yeah. That's a great game. Oh, you can't forget Bingo for Nintendo Switch, 40% off. Butcher is a nice retro 2D shooter that's 40% off. Chromo Gun, 50% off. That's like it's like Portal, it's first person, but instead you fire paint, and the whole mechanic's based off of solving puzzles and different colored puzzles.
I remember that, and I keep hearing lots of stuff about Dandara. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah. That I like the art style of it, but I've heard mixed receptions about it just because of how unique it is in controlling. Like, you don't really jump, you sort of just transport between different surfaces. So, yeah.
Interesting. It looks like Celeste. The art style is very reminiscent of Celeste. Did you play it?
No, I've never played it. I've watched some people watch some reviews for it, but...
Yeah, this I hear a lot of buzz about this game, and it's $9, 40% off right now. So, looks like one to check out if you're into that, brain twisting puzzle platformer kind of game.
Sure thing. This is my highlight of the sale week. Framed Collection is 40% off, and it's a totally unique concept of arranging comic book panels to make a successful sequence of events, and it's a really neat puzzle game. That was a mobile title, but it came to the Switch. It came with the first game and the second one, and I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. Goner is $5.99. That's 40% off as well, and it's another Metroidvania title with a really unique art style. I bought it back when it first came out, and it has all the makings of upgrading and going back for better runs, and it's interesting.
And it's got kind of a gross art style, right? Is that the
Yeah.
one I'm thinking of? Like, I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but you know what I mean?
No,
It's kind of,
like that whole Nidhogg 2
yeah,
look to it. Yeah, it's
exactly.
sort of in that. Yeah, like stuff falls out of people if you hit them. And yeah, yeah, it's.
I
But
want
it's
to see
pretty
that on
cool.
the ESRB rating. Like, violence, language, stuff falls out of people when you hit them.
Guts and glory.
There you go.
Oh, you got Jackbox Party Pack. That's 50% off, and that comes highly recommended. Just as a party game for the Switch, it's perfect.
I see The Escapists 2 on here. Is that I've heard about that game. You ever played those?
Yeah, they're really in depth. Like as it says, you're trying to escape from prison, and every level is based off of a more high tech prison that you're trying to break out of. But I could never get into them because I found that they were just too in depth. Like, like it was all like the different systems in place. It was just too complex to really enjoy it. But if you're really into deep strategy in that regard, I can see it being a lot of fun.
We've got Kid Trip. Throwback to having Mick on the
Yes.
show last time. Kid Trip is $2. It's normally $3.99. Kid Trip is fun. It is worth $2. It is a good quality auto running side scrolling game.
Oxenfree is 75% off, and if you need an adventure game, that's going to be another pick of the week for me. Is that it was great when I played it on the PS4. It has that whole Stranger Things like vibe to it, deep sci-fi fantasy roots.
I see, as always, 9 Parchments is on sale. I've said that like almost every week, and it
When
changes
isn't
every
that
week.
on sale?
Right now, it's 60% off. That might be the lowest I've ever seen it. Maybe I'll finally buy it.
Maybe that's the game that we need to play together.
Is it? Is it? I mean, but it's kind of a longer game. Would it be good to get a 20-minute
Yeah.
chunk of that?
On second thought, maybe we should play something that would
And
good
there's
arcade.
your review.
Yeah.
I want to call out Semblance. I mentioned this game. We talked about it a couple of episodes ago. The developer's name is, actually, that's the publisher, Gambitious. I got to look up who the developer of it is. But it's the developer is based out of South Africa, and this game releasing again, 2D puzzle platformer kind of thing, looks very much reminiscent of Celeste in terms of jumping, dashing, getting over, climbing a wall, all that kind of stuff. Really neat art style that I really like. This is the first game by this to make it to a Nintendo platform from South America or South Africa, and it's it's the progress of an indie dev that really caught my attention here. So this is also on my list to play and provide some feedback for. I am probably going to pick that up after Operation Hardcore.
Gotta say it in that voice every time. Here comes one that I shouldn't recommend for 50% off, even though it's $1.99 Spartan. Yeah, that game was like complete garbage.
Spartan.
Yeah, as generic as it sounds, yes,
no
it
kidding.
was the worst controlling 2D side scroller, one of them I've ever played. So
Oh, that's a bummer. It looks kind of
it looks
fun
cute,
and
doesn't
cute.
it? Yeah. Oh, it was
No good,
horrendous.
huh?
Nah, yeah, unfortunately not. Swim Out is a fun puzzler. It takes place in swimming pools, as the name implies, and you're a swimmer and you have a certain amount of moves to get to like a finish line, and there's puzzle elements in it, and like it has that what is it, Lara Croft Go or Tomb Raider
Right.
Go and Hitman Go, like sort of setup.
One of the next games on this list, Transcripted. You heard of this game?
No.
It looks like a bunch of DNA strands and pretty cool graphic style. Unique mix of twin stick shooter and match 3.
I like match 3 games.
Yeah, I like twin stick shooters.
Perfect for us.
Oh man, I see skill trees to upgrade. This looks cool.
Wow, you brought me on to something I might have to purchase.
Yeah, this looks really cool. It came out in November of last year. I wonder what the Metacritic for it is. Transcripted. I feel like Nindies get a harsh grade on Metacritic. There's so many Nindie games that like I see as a 70 or a 75. And I'm like, come on, man, these are great games. I can't
It's
think of any
better
good
than
examples.
that. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Celeste is like the best. Well, actually, that's a good 76 for transcripted. That's actually pretty good.
that is good. That is
Yeah.
good. There's a bunch of good stuff out there for sure. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm telling you, we are on the eve of August. Mark my
It's
words.
only going to get more crazy.
There will be a Nindie focused direct. I'm calling it. There has to be in August. Maybe not Nindie focused, maybe not, but there's going to be a direct because they got to talk about the online service.
Friend of the show, Marcus Sellers, actually put out a tweet that says that there's a rumored direct in August, and I bet that's going to be for Nindies. So
Really?
there you go.
I didn't see that recently. I'll have to do some research. Check that out. That's great.
Yeah.
That's really good. Good.
Yeah.
When he says something, it's usually pretty legit. So good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep.
Speaking of social media and people giving out rumors and speculation, all that stuff, if you want to jump in on the conversation, you want to be a part of Nindie Nation, talk with us and many of the other Nindie or Nintendo focused podcasts that we're all connected with, find us on Twitter. You can find me at Nindie Jeff. You can find Josh at Minus the Brant, and you can find Nindie Nation at Nindie Nation. Also, take a look at us on YouTube. You can find us youtube.com/Nindie Nation. I will be putting up another Let's Play, most likely probably Wednesday of the following week. And you can usually expect this episode to go live on YouTube for the podcast about one day after it goes up as an audio feed. And you can find us on our Facebook page. And check out the community. There's lots of people that are in there. Conversations get really active when somebody says, I need some advice on what Nindie to get. And that's been a great use of that group so far. And I love seeing people say, oh, well, here's why you should play Hollow Knight versus Shovel Knight or Celeste versus, just lots of great conversations. And then people jumping in saying like, oh, I love that game. Here's my experience. So look up Nindie Nation on Facebook and feel free to join and chat about some Nindies with us. Let's tell them about the Nintendo Village, Josh.
Okay, well, there's this cool site called thenintendovillage.com where our show is hosted from, and you can also find reviews, feature articles. There's also some awesome other shows going on. The Hypecast is the newest show right now. It's actually the first episode was live streamed today through there, and hosted by Antonio Guillen. He does awesome work on the site, so definitely check that out. And yeah, like I said, you can just check us, go rate us on iTunes.
And I guess a good question would be to throw out to everybody, what would be some good co-op Nindie games for Josh and I to play together? With that, thanks for spending some time with us this week to talk about Nindies and all things lovely and independent on the eShop. Josh, thanks for your time this week.
Thank you.
I'm Jeff. Until then, keep those Joy-Cons synced. And in our second half, give you the full rundown of this week's
It's been a long week, folks.